Welcome to the video, guys. Well, it seems the septic spot on the brown eye of humanity, that is the UN, has recently nuked the Labour Party, EU and any other left-wing open borders supporting losers from orbit with regards to their deranged claims about these desperate so-called asylum seekers. They did this with a report revealing more than 70% of migrants crossing into Europe would never qualify for asylum anywhere in the EU, and especially those coming from countries like Libya and Pakistan, among many others. Now, we also have reports that most of the people in the Calais jungle have already been told they are not allowed to stay in the EU, but weak laws from the European Union means they cannot or will not kick them out once they are in, letting them eventually attempt to cross the channel to the United Kingdom, which is obviously what we have been seeing increase over the past few years, and especially over the past couple of months. Well, the Mail has picked up on this story with the headline, "Calais jungle is home to hundreds who have already been told that they cannot stay in the EU, as 70% of migrants who sail into Europe from Libya do not qualify for asylum," reveals UN report. So, like I said, completely shitting on the left-wing Labour narrative that these people are desperate migrants who should be given asylum when clearly United Nations is saying they shouldn't. The Calais jungle migrant camp is filled with hundreds who have already been told they cannot stay in the EU, it has been claimed. Tony Smith, the former Director General of the Border Force, has said that officials are seeing the same faces among those attempting to make the crossing from Calais to the UK, which obviously the Border Force are fucking picking up, so Tony Smith, they need to do something about that first. It's all good and fine saying they are the same faces, you need to stop picking them up in the channel. I know obviously the Border Force are just doing what they're told, but you're all taking part in it, so you're all equally responsible. It comes as it was revealed that the majority of migrants using one of the most common sea routes into Europe are not in need of international protection, according to a UN report. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees found that more than 70% of migrants crossing from Libya to Europe are unlikely to qualify for asylum when they arrive. Vincent Cochetel, the UNHCR Special Envoy for the region, also admitted that a fair and equitable return mechanism must be put in place. Yeah, fair and equitable needs to be instant and every single one of them, because I don't care what it says, 70% of them is probably on the lower end of the estimate. I expect it's closer to 96 or 97%. If it's not, then the entire asylum system will be called into question. Well, let me tell you, there's already a lot of people in this country calling into question the entire asylum system, let me tell you that, and not just the UK's one, but the EU's and the general world policy on it. Because at the moment, we are just being bent over with no lube and completely shafted. Of the 41,129 migrants who have come to Europe this year, 18.3% are from Tunisia, while 10.3% are from Algeria. According to the UNHCR report, migrants who travelled from Libya to Italy and Malta made up 68% of arrivals to Europe via the central Mediterranean between January and May. Because obviously, while we sit here bitching about what's going on our coastline, because obviously it relates directly to us, this shit show is also happening over in Malta. I've had Italian viewers telling me about it and the complete and utter disaster that is going on there. And unlike here in the UK, the mainstream media over there are not really reporting on it, if what I have been told is to be believed anyway. I actually plan to look into it myself in more detail very soon, because we have to remember to stop them getting here, we also have to stop them getting there, which could mean that Italy really needs to get out of the EU a lot sooner than it could well happen. As you all know, I fully support this from day dot. I fully support any country getting out of that undemocratic shit show, let's be honest. Around 8,600 people have departed from the North African country by sea, with Bangladeshi, Sudanese and Somalis the most common nationalities making the crossing. Because obviously we are not talking about Libyans here, there will be some of the people obviously from Libya, but most of these people are coming from a variety of other countries all over the world, which for reasons that are obvious to anyone but the rabid leftists is never a good idea, let me tell you that. And 8,600 people crossing from North Africa to Europe, we've had 5,000 of them already arrive here as it is, and they are just the ones that we obviously know about. I expect lots of them make it over and are never caught. The report reads, as of the end of May, an estimated 28% of the people who had crossed the sea from Libya are likely to be in need of international protection. So it's less than a third of the actual people crossing that are likely to be actual genuine refugees. And like I said earlier, I bet that is a very conservative estimate. My bet is it's a hell of a lot lower than that. The vast majority of those attempting to reach Britain from Calais have travelled over land through the EU, experts say. Well, you don't need to be an expert to know that. It's kind of common fucking sense, you bunch of idiots. I sure do hope the experts who said that are not paid for their expertise. The news comes amid an increase in migrant crossings in the UK, with a record number attempting to come over in small boats from Calais tell us something we don't already know. Former Border Force Director General Tony Smith told The Telegraph a lot of people who are in Calais have been told that they cannot stay in the EU. Some of them have been refused in a couple of different countries, but they don't want to go back, and obviously the EU is weak as piss water, much like Boris Johnson, Priti Patel and the Tory government on this situation. The French can't remove them, so they are just their names and details and telling them stop trying to break the law, until of course they get into the UK or jump in a boat, in which case they will help them break the law as long as they can get rid of them and send them over to us. Because our dumb fuck border service constantly picks them up, it shouldn't even be called the Border Force anymore, it should be the Illegal Immigrant Taxi Service. Maybe we should start a petition to say that the name of the Border Force is not correct, it is not based in factual reality, so it should be called Immigrant Taxi Service, so the people of this country know what their money is actually being spent on. Mr. Smith now chairs an international board association, including the UK Border Farce. He said that smugglers have the upper hand and it will encourage more people to travel to northern France to try their luck, as the smugglers have found a gap in our defences. Yeah, they ain't defences if you're picking them up, it's a taxi service, as I've already said. Now, I'm not going to go through their emotional bullshit about babies in the channel, no one cares about that. I'm yet to actually see babies in the channel. These are all 18 to 30 odd year old men. More than 5,000 migrants have crossed the channel this year, with August total of more than 1,200 so far, making it the busiest month on record. Hundreds of migrants have been landing on the Kent coast in recent weeks, as warm weather and calm sea conditions encourage them to travel in small boats from France. A migrant was attacked on a Kent beach just moments after landing on shore in a dinghy on Sunday. The man, thought to be in his 20s and from the Middle East, was set upon by an unknown assailant who watched the boat arrive on the beach near Deal. It is thought to be the first assault on a migrant arriving on the Kent coast, which obviously you shouldn't really be doing. You should just ring the old bill and get them to come and get them. It's not worth the effort of getting yourself in trouble with the old bill at the end of the day. Natalie Elphicke, the Conservative MP, condemned the attack. Of course she did, that's no fucking surprise. She's hardly going to support it, is she? Right, we're going to skip all the bullshit about their packages and these migrant children. Like I've said, I don't see many migrant children, if any, in any of the pictures of the actual boats. The Home Office fuckpigs have booked 4,000 hotel rooms for asylum seekers amid pressure from a surge of cross-channel migration and the coronavirus pandemic. Because obviously all the guys on the south coast and Nigel Farage signal boosting it has forced the Home Office to actually admit that they have bought up all these hotel rooms. So well done to Active Patriot and the others down on the south coast, and of course, like I've said before, the egotistical Nigel Farage for signal boosting it and trying to take all the credit for it. It is at least a bonus that he's actually covered it and got the mainstream media onto it, and of course attacking him for it. Hotels in Hull, Birmingham, Nottingham, Southport and Glasgow have been used amid a shortage of permanent accommodation for newcomers to live while their asylum claims are assessed. So in what is a surprise to no one, they've sent them all up north, well away from London. What a fucking surprise that is, I'm sure. Companies who provide accommodation for migrants had also been permitted to find rooms in places that were not part of the scheme that oversees where the newcomers are dispersed across Britain. So they could literally be anywhere, let me tell you that. Priti Patel previously warned France the UK will not cough up millions of pounds for anti-migrant patrols unless it agrees to take back more refugees, as she prepares sweeping changes to the broken immigration system. As she prepares, yeah, well, I'm pretty sick of pretty piss poor Patel talking all this bollocks and not doing anything about it. She's been going on about these changes in laws for ages now. Where the fuck are they? It's amazing how fast the government can come up with bat flu regulations, but when it comes to defending the borders of this country, they've got their finger rammed firmly up their arse. The Home Secretary told Tory MPs that she was preparing sweeping legal changes that would send the left into meltdown. In a Zoom call with hardline backbenchers, she suggested that the system was being exploited by lefty Labour supporting lawyers who are doing everything they could to stop the government removing people, which is actually something I have covered before along with a few other YouTubers. They actually blocked 6 of the 20 that were planned to be taken back a couple of weeks ago. The government managed to remove 14 and plan another couple of flights, so we can expect more, as my video pointed out yesterday. Labour Shadow Home Secretary Nick Thomas Simmons insisted that ministers must provide solutions rather than empty headlines in order to tackle the issue. Yes, the way to sort it out is simple. You tell them you will be instantly sent back as soon as you try to cross via this method. There will be no chance of an asylum claim, end of story. Much like the Australians did when it was happening to them. But naturally, David Lammy had to have his say. Extremely distasteful for Priti Patel to say our asylum system is exploited by lefty lawyers. What she actually said is it's exploited by lefty Labour-loving lawyers. Because, like I've said before, we all know it is. I've done videos on it and it is common knowledge at this point. Caricaturing an entire profession which is subject to a code of conduct and upholds the rule of law is dangerous and unbecoming of a serious Home Secretary. Well, given the fact that she's mainly talk and no action, I wouldn't say she's a serious Home Secretary as it stands. But at the end of the day, nothing she said is untrue. We all know this is an undeniable fact at the end of the day. These Labour-loving lawyers have been doing it for many years, including trying to get Shamima Begum, the jihadi spunk trumpet, back into the UK, as I've also covered a few times before. So, like I said at the beginning, this UN report and obviously news from the Border Force has shown the Labour Party, EU and all those left-wing shitweasels were just talking a complete and utter load of shit, as we always knew from the very beginning. But for the worthless tosspots down at the UN to even say what we have been saying all this time proves once again that they are always full of shit, just pushing the bullshit ideology that never makes any sense and is not supported by the people of this country.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors, slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires, and that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.